Welcome to JsGrassFed Podcast, Episode 6. Thank you for tuning in. If you choose to do so, I always appreciate the support. And I wanted to start off this week a little bit different. By reading some quotes that I have. Something that I keep in my folder when I travel to the markets. I kind of just read over it sometimes before the market starts. So it says, any system that is reliant upon outside inputs is not sustainable. And that is a quote by Elliot Coleman. And yeah, I don't know, that one really hits home with me, because if you think about all of the commercial farming, they are reliant upon outside inputs. Gas for the tractors, fertilizers from who knows where, and they're probably not saving seeds, so they're literally reliant upon all outside inputs. This is just fresh in my mind because I was having a conversation over the weekend, and it seems to just always come up that small scale agriculture won't feed people in large numbers. And it's not true. It's just simply not true. But people have just been misled in a different direction. So that's why it's very important with this whole system dedicated to Jim Kovaleski. It's who I learned it from. Cut the grass with a scythe and put the grass on the beds as your number one source of soil fertility. And it works. And that is more than sustainable, because it's not just sustaining, you're renewing, if you will. It's renewable. The grass grows, you harvest it at the right times, and it'll grow up depending on a season. It could be twice, or it could be 3 or 4 if you have a wet year. And all that hay, just like when you drive, I don't know where you live, but around here, and I've seen it, in the Northeast, there's a lot of hay fields, and you see people in the springtime. Jim talked about this in his videos, and I got to see it firsthand last year. We had a really rainy year, and he would talk about how you could mow with the scythe in standing water. But so when the hay fields are really wet in the springtime, it's hard for the farmers to get their tractors into the fields, because it'll make huge ruts and the tractor will get stuck in the mud. So they have to wait until the field's dry. But there's a certain point, like May 15th in Vermont. May 15th in Vermont is when the grass is at its pure nutritional state. And every day after that, it loses the chlorophyll and it becomes less nutritional for the animals. and becomes more like woody and hardy. It's not that fresh, like lush grass. So with the scythe, if the fields are soaking wet, you're able to always start by that day or by the time that the grass is at its purity nutritional point. But with the tractor, last year there was a farmer that had to wait until August to get their first cut. So usually, tractors are getting their first cut at least by June. And then, it would be like second cut by like July and a third cut maybe in late August. Or maybe they're only doing 2 cuts. I don't know. But he had to wait until August to get his first cut, and he lost out on like thousands of bales that was supposed to feed his animals for the winter. Now, I know that everybody's not gonna mow a 15-acre field with a European scythe to get all their hay for their animals. And a lot of these farmers are older. I mean, Jim's like 60 something. But for somebody who's me, who's like 23, it's a good skill to learn so that by the time I am 65, I could be mowing 15 acres of pasture and using that for the animals. And this all goes back to any system that is reliant upon outside inputs is not sustainable. So if you're using the scythe for the grass on the pasture and you're using that grass for your macro herd, your animals, maybe you have goats, cows, sheep, and then also the micro herd, the microbiology within inside the soil, all the worms and the microbes, all the stuff that we can't really see going on in the soil that's really doing all the work, and we're just reaping the benefits of taking care of that micro herd. So you're not reliant upon the gas line infrastructure. I mean, maybe you are to some degree if you're still using a car, but you're not reliant upon the gas line infrastructure to grow the food. And if you're using your hands and hand tools, you're not reliant upon the gas line infrastructure to harvest. And if you're saving seed, you're not reliant upon all these other seed companies. And obviously, we want to support these seed companies and like keep them in business, but we don't want that to be like our number one source. So that's why I'm so passionate about this grass-fed system. It's really a beautiful thing, and it works. So maybe this is the thing that'll take off in the next few years. It would be a beautiful thing to have people mowing their pastures like they used to be mowed back in the 1800s, even before then, all the way back to the 1500s, like 1400s. It's crazy. So for like the last 500 years, whatever, before, some of the quotes in the scythe book go back to like the 1300s. So it's like a long time. This is how they mowed or they took care of the land before the gas took over, the gas and the oil line infrastructure took over. So I'll just move on with the quotes. True organic is renewable and regenerative. Mother Nature provides inputs. the leaves drop every year. Leaves, however you want to say that. The leaves, like, leave it there. Think about how much leaves drop every year. And people just bag them up. They don't want them on their lawn. But really, that's soil fertility. So, one of the videos, the other guy that I learned a lot of stuff from, his name's Sean over at Edible Acres. Big inspiration as well behind everything that I'm incorporating into the garden. They go around picking up all the leaf bags, like the big brown Home Depot bags or whatever that people just fill their leaves with, and they take them and use them in their chicken yard, and it's a free resource. So, and the same thing with the grass, same thing with the big wood chip piles that wood processing companies are just trying to get rid of. And I think on that note, there's like, because people will say, like, you just cut down all the trees, there's not going to be any more trees, so like, how is that renewable? But I'm seeing, yeah, like from that guy, Sean at Edible Acres, one of his videos over the summer was like, I think they were like locust trees, and they cut them in a way that like, they're called like polyards, and you can harvest like limbs of the tree when they get to a certain age, and then use that for building, and the tree stays alive, and then it grows back the limbs to a certain age again, and you harvest it. So there's a way that we can work with nature as one, so we don't have to destroy everything. And I do believe that even though it's a finite planet, we are able to work in this oneness way, synchronistic way with nature, that there would always be resources for people, no matter how large the population got. It's all right there. I mean, it's all right there. So moving on to the next one. It's the passion of the farmer that determines the quality of the crops. And I mean, that one's pretty self-explanatory. Just like anything, any art, any craft, the energy that you put into it as you're making it, creating it, working with it, that's going to be the results that you get back on that end, that finished product, that creation result. Through observation comes wisdom, and as long as you are passionate about what you do, you will prosper. And now I'm like, when I read that last one, I was like, did I read these before? If I did, cool. If not, well, there you go. And just the first one was by Elliot Coleman, and I forget, I didn't write who the other ones were by, just quotes that I picked up or maybe like came up with myself along the way. Yeah, so one love to those quotes. That's what I keep in the folder when I go to the markets. Just open it up before the market, just kind of look over that. Gives me some inspiration, just reminder of why I'm doing what I'm doing. So it is the winter solstice eve, and we are at the shortest day length of the year. So it's 9 hours of daylight is our lowest amount of daylight, and it'll remain like this for the rest of the month. So there's like a 10-day period where it's just at that lowest level of darkness, and I feel like that's kind of the time you feel it. Like, oh, okay, it's winter. Well, yeah, now, and it's officially winter, so that's kind of ironic too. That on the official day of winter is the shortest day of, and I knew that. It's just when you say it out loud, it's just, it's cool. And yeah, so once it becomes like January, I have this like website or thing I look on, and it shows like the hours of daylight as the days go on. And it's like once it gets into like the first few days of January, we go to like 9 hours and 6 minutes of daylight. So we'll slowly start gaining minutes again. And then by February, which is the big, that's like everything, um, all the farmers are going to start getting their crops ready in the greenhouses. Onions, peppers, tomatoes, I don't know, everything. Whatever you need to get started, they're going to be getting it started, including myself. I think I need to get another grow light. The one that I ordered is just, it's not doing the trick. It's doing the trick, but I feel like it's a little less than the trick. Like it needs a little bit more power. So I think if I just get another one, that'll be like twice the brightness. Hopefully that'll give it what it needs. But I'm also hoping that if I get another light, once we go above the 10-hour daylight length in February like 4th or 6th, that's when plants will start to grow again. So with the amount of daylight coming through from the south exposure, because I was able to successfully grow seedlings last year just with the south exposure window, but the apartment next to mine kind of like blocks a lot of that southern exposure sun. So it's like you get some of it in the east, and then really when it's coming from the south, it's like kind of blocked, and then you get it again from the west. You get it from the south too, but it's not like the full. Anyways, I'm hoping with the amount of sunlight that the seedlings were able to grow with, they just kind of like ended up getting leggy. Combined with the two growing lights, maybe that will be enough light for them to grow properly and not get all leggy. So yeah, it's really just a Zen period right now. Still banking on getting the short day onions in the first or second week of January, and hopefully the third low tunnel isn't too frozen, and I can get in there. I'm not afraid to chop it a little bit of ice, and I'm hoping that the soil isn't frozen inside the low tunnel under the 2 layers of insulation, plus the snow insulation that we just got, and plant the short day onions, and hopefully by May have full bowls of onions. That would be pretty cool. I think I got like 150 or 100 sets coming. And then whatever's in the other two low tunnels, everything will start growing again at the point of February, that 10-hour day mark that I'm talking about. And I might try and start some seedlings in January. But yeah, so it's really just like, it's really got to get through. Once it starts getting a few more minutes of daylight again, I mean, I feel like there's no reason to not try to start some seedlings. So yeah, I don't know what that was. That little thing that said somebody came in the chat. But Yeah, so I guess moving on to the weather weekly updates. So it's the second week at making the graph. Oh man, the lighting is not too good. And it messes me up because it's not, it's backwards for me, but it's not backwards for y'all. So here we go. So Tuesday, this is the day we left off on last week. Tuesday, December 13th, the low was 10 degrees, high was 31. Wednesday, 14th, low was 18, high was 30. Thursday, low was 22, high was 40. Friday, 16th, low was 36, high was 38. Saturday, 17th, the low was 33, high was 36. Sunday, the 18th, low was 30, the high was 37. And then Monday, the 19th, the high and the low was 34. So it didn't go, I guess so overnight it went down from 37 to 34. And then it didn't go above 34 the whole day. And today, low 28, high 35. So, and then it's pretty cool because now I have the one from last week. So you can kind of you can put them together. So this was all the way back at February 6th. It was 53 degrees. And then you go to December 7th, it was 60 degrees. pretty cool. So I'm gonna keep doing this, and then it'll just be like have like a whole big one, and you could. So yeah, I mean that's the 7th, and then it goes 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So in 7 days, it dropped 50 degrees from 60 to 10. And now we've just been locked in. We got our first heavy snow. And yeah, but now we're supposed to get some rain, and it's probably all going to melt. I've seen another 50 degrees day coming up at the end of the week on Christmas Eve or something. And I have it recorded that, yeah, the 2020 Christmas was 55 degrees. And then I think it was last year too. Last year was like, yeah, really warm on I have to look back at the records. But yeah, that's the weekly weather updates. So the cool graph. There's one more thing. But yeah, so it was 7. So now it's in. Yeah, it's just been staying at that stable 30s. Yeah, talk about the snow. It's already melting down here, and we got like 2 inches, not even. And then up at the garden, like 6 minutes away, but like 200 feet higher in elevation. It there's 8 inches up there. Like, and then you go 8 more minutes east, all the way up the mountain where it's like 2,000 feet, and they got like 2 feet up there. But you go 20 minutes west, and they didn't get anything, and they just got rain in the rolling hills of upstate New York. So it's really cool to see the microclimates and how just like the hills and the valleys and everything affects the snow. And I mean, sometimes like it'll come over the town, but it's rare that it just like actually dumps right over the valley. Usually you could just watch the storms ride the mountains, and the mountain range is going north to south, so it just rides up, rides up. But that you could, and it was, you could see the winds were coming from the southeast. So I guess that would be, yeah, a nor'easter coming from the southeast, going northeast. But it wasn't going northeast, it was coming in from the southeast and blowing northwest. And it doesn't usually do that, but like sometimes when a storm comes in, it just like the wind pattern changes. Like usually it just goes from west to east. That's the way the jet stream goes, and the jet stream just kind of comes like right over, and it goes up the mountains. That's the snow belt. But like when there's a hurricane or something, you know, we'll get the wind from the south or the southeast again. Sometimes we get it from the southwest. Rarely does it like blow from the north. But when it does, sucks. It's cold. It's really cold. And yeah, the north wind is like, it's unforgiving. And I would say we have a windy season. I've noticed that over the years, that it's like we could get snow in March too. But it seems like ever since like 2020 March, um, just like March is now like the windy season. So it's like, but it's still winter too. Um, yeah. Well, I guess no, it's technically spring. So spring's the windy season. Then it still stays cold, like it's kind of winter. And then you just gotta, it could snow. The last day it snows is like May 17th. Um, yeah. And we had kind of have like a dry season after the windy season, like May, like on the weather app and stuff. The past like 2 years, I get like fire warning in Vermont, and like that. I mean, like there's fire towers around, but that's like from back in the day when like there used to be like forest fires. They've clear cut Vermont to the ground like twice. So it used to be 80% forest. They chopped it back to 20%. And now through like preservation, it's back to 80%. But everything is like a second growth forest. So the trees are very young. Um, and the landscape's just completely different than what it used to be. Basically, what I'm saying is that like we get so much moisture over the course of the wintertime. I guess the windy season, like the new windy season, would dry that out. So like by May, early springtime, that would create like a dry season, because then we get so much rain in April too, like, and then it will just like kind of most of the time it just stops raining and snowing. And every year I've gardened for the last 30 years. I think, oh, it went away. Oh, wish you kept, said wish you kept over and over again. records. Yeah, and I'm finding it really important that like it's really important to keep the records. That's why I'm keeping these temperatures. Like I have this, I've talked about it in one of the previous podcasts before, but like so this goes back to this is like a small little calendar book. Grandfather did so, and I think as much as anything, it's a good, healthy, holistic way to pass time. Yeah, and I mean with all the technology nowadays and stuff, like I feel like we're so disconnected from that. People are like, oh, like my Google Calendar is so unorganized. Like, get a notebook, write it down on a piece of paper. Like, it's like if you can't even, you're trying to use your Google Calendar and you can't even stay organized with that, like maybe that's a sign. Like, we got to go back to everyone's different. I'm obviously more old school, like trying to mow freaking patch for the scythe over here, but not everybody's gonna want to do this, and that's okay. Everybody's gonna have their own ways of living, and this is just, I think it's important though for somebody to do it, and then I mean that way the information's there for people. But yeah, anyways, dry season, don't think we should even have a dry season, and we definitely didn't used to. But I used to live up in the mountains, and now I live down in the valley, so I guess maybe there is one down here, and I just never really realized it. And then it's just like, I don't know what it's like up in Scotia, Nova Scotia, right? But it just goes from spring to summer. And I've talked about this before that, like, on both ends, it stays warmer longer into the fall, and then it stays colder for longer into the spring. And then it just becomes summer, and we get like 90 degrees days in June. Like we'll get a real big spike up, and it's just like, oh dang. And then that makes all the brassicas like go up to seed, bolt, and the lettuce hangs in there though. New Brunswick, we are married to the ocean effect on our climate. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, because we're like 3 hours inland, but we still get influence from the South Gulf jet stream. We still get a little bit of influence from the Atlantic, even though we're 3 hours inland. And then if you go like northwest, there's Lake Champlain all the way 3 hours north, the biggest lake in Vermont, and then there's Lake George. And then we get it from the west too, because the Great Lakes are all the way. So it's just like we're getting hit from, and then we have the mountains. So it's like the elevation. But yeah, married to the ocean climate must be nice. You definitely get a little bit more warmth. It's nice to have somebody actually attending the live stream. Just wanted to put that out there. Usually nobody's in, and that's okay too. But this is kind of like the whole thing of this. I'm trying to build community and like have the conversation. So thank you for showing support. Thank you for being here. Simple foraging. Blessings to you, brother. Up in New Bruns. So yeah, that's that for the weather, I guess, and we'll continue. Okay, yeah. Culturally, I don't know about. Maybe I need to get out more, but the people around are just everybody's so secluded to themselves, and I don't know. I feel like in Vermont, everyone's just doing their own thing, and you just got to find your thing, and then find people who are doing your thing, or else just everyone's kind of doing their own thing, and then you're just chilling. I don't know. That's just my perspective and observation. But yeah, I love it here. I love Vermont. That's why I've always came back. I've tried to leave, try to live out west. I have. It's beautiful out there. It's a different world, and beautiful in its own way. I've been to Utah, California, Oregon, Wyoming, all those states you pass through going to out west. Obviously, the Indiana, the Ohio, the Illinois, Iowa, Idaho, all those. They're beautiful. And then down the whole east. I haven't spent too much time in the south. All the Louisiana, the Missouri, and all that. Been through Kansas. Yeah, man, I've seen the country, and spent time in a lot of beautiful places. But like, there's no other place like Vermont. And when I went to go leave one time, these elders at the restaurant that I worked at, they were just like, "You'll be back." And I was just like, "Nah, like I'm out of here." Like, and they knew. Who knows, maybe they'd try to leave too once, but yeah, it's just a beautiful vortex here, and I'm glad to finally call it my home, like permanent home, and I definitely want to go out and travel more, but this is where I want to have my homestead. This is where I want to have the permanent farm and create community of people who are interested. LOL, that funny. I lived in Manchester, Canterbury, Hampton, Keene. Oh, what, dude? All top shelf, inspirational areas. Love my time there. 5 years of my life, and I wish I would have stayed. Yeah, I don't know about the last part, man. I don't really follow that. I think it's all just one. It's a masquerade, if you will, puppet show. Same show, just different actors, if you will. It's all pre-planned and they're all bought and paid for, and it's unfortunate. Not trying to go down that rabbit hole, but that is what it is. I'm just getting, I don't even play into that. But if that's your own personal, like reasoning, like I'm no one to judge. Yeah, word up, blessings to you, brother, blessings. And yeah, man. But yeah, so wherever you are, everybody has their own reasoning, and honestly, everywhere is beautiful in their own way. Everybody's beautiful in their own way. And yeah, I think I might just wrap it up like that. So observe your weather, take notes, find your community, and grow food wherever you are. It's possible. Check out the videos that I've been doing for almost a year now. I have a lot of things documenting on how easy it is to just make a sheet mulch. If you put grass on top of grass and let it sit for 6 months, you can pull that grass up and plant directly into it. It's that easy. And the things I talked about in the beginning of appreciate you, Simple Foraging, thank you. Get some friends on here. Let's get the conversation going, and let's build the community. Yeah, things I talked about in the beginning about the regenerative, I'll end it on the quote that I started with. Any system that is reliant upon outside inputs is not sustainable. So there you go. True organic is renewable, regenerative. Mother Nature provides all of your inputs. One love, wholeness. Blessings to all of you. This is Jay's podcast, episode 6. And we'll see you next week. Peace. Happy winter solstice. Looking forward to the longer hours of daylight. But for now, we will zen in this period of darkness.